All non-essential businesses in the capital are shut ahead of a national non-working week. The State Task Force has also reported more than 40,000 new infections. Courtney Bembridge reports.
Infections are rising across Russia, and it's now one of the worst affected countries in Europe. Hospitals are overrun, and doctors say most patients are unvaccinated.
The hospital is completely full. About 10% of patients are discharged every day, and an equal number admitted to hospital on the same day. There are many more patients than in the previous coronavirus wave.
Authorities, frustrated with the low vaccination rates, are now offering incentives to try to get more people jabbed.
I obviously care about my own health and the health of my relatives. I think we should do it, the vaccination. Otherwise we won't defeat COVID-19.
Moscow has reimposed a partial lockdown, and only essential shops like pharmacies and supermarkets are allowed to remain open. At one of the city's main train stations, emergency servicemen suit up and start disinfecting before the first commuters arrive. President Vladimir Putin has also ordered a nationwide shutdown of workplaces from Saturday, but many Russians have decided to use the paid leave for a holiday.
There is a very large flow of tourists. Prices have rocketed for all the destinations that we provide. Due to this lockdown, people are leaving.
Honestly, I'm not scared. They're trying to keep on top of this, including the hotels. It's not my first holiday this year, it's probably my 5th. They're trying to follow and observe the rules. Plus, I'm vaccinated. That won't save you, but it will still help, so everything will be great.
The Kremlin has stopped short of banning travel, but has warned against it. That message appears to be falling on deaf ears, with recent polls suggesting 1/3 of Russians plan to travel during the workplace shutdown. Courtney Bembridge, BBC News.
Well, let's take you live now to Moscow. Piotr Sauer is a reporter for the Moscow Times. Welcome to you. Thanks very much for being with us. We heard some reaction there to these new lockdown rules, but what are you hearing from people on the streets? How are they reacting?
I think you hear quite a lot of anger at the moment in Moscow, because those who did vaccinate, so the businesses and business owners, feel like it's unfair that they have to close down during this week and they'll be losing a lot of money. What we've seen during previous lockdowns is that small businesses haven't received much government support. So I think a lot of people don't understand why these strict measures will also hit those that actually did vaccinate.
I think the concern is from the government that the take-up has been so low for the vaccinations, 32%, isn't it? Why do you think that is?
It's a good question, and I think the government's very, very much concerned about this at the moment. Critics say that Putin and the Kremlin send a lot of mixed messages about the pandemic and about the vaccine from the very start. We know, of course, that Putin says that he took the vaccine, but he never took it on camera, which I think really did play a part in Russia's, distrusting the vaccine and not really believing that Putin himself took it. We've also seen that the government said during last summer that the pandemic was defeated. So a lot of Russians thought that getting the vaccine wasn't essential anymore.
We're just looking at pictures of the empty streets of Moscow. This isn't affecting the whole country, these measures, but the 60s and over are in particular having some harsh restrictions placed on them, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones at the most danger, of course, and only 40% of those 60 and above have been vaccinated, so it's only slightly higher than the national average. And this is something that very much concerns the Kremlin, and I think that's why they decided to impose these very strict measures on the unvaccinated seniors over 60 and just keep them locked in.
Do you get the sense that the Kremlin is perhaps not entirely on top of this situation, because there's been different rules at different times over the past sort of 6 or 9 months, haven't there?
Yeah, so I said they've been sending a lot of mixed messages, and just last summer they introduced QR codes for restaurants and for bars in the capital, and uptake of vaccination actually went up. And then they suddenly got rid of those measures 2 weeks in, right before the Duma elections. So a lot of people think that they did that, not to be unpopular and not to introduce unpopular measures. And the Kremlin has been very much scared to introduce unpopular measures. Peskov, Putin's spokesperson himself, said there is no lockdown happening. Putin himself said he isn't for mandatory vaccination. So you see that the Kremlin and the local authorities sort of have been sending different messages, and the Kremlin has been willing to let the local authorities be the bad guy and bring this sort of more negative news about the pandemic.
And with 1,100 COVID deaths in the past 24 hours, we've seen those numbers sadly ticking up over the past week or so. How are the health authorities